All right, peace, family. I'm back again to do part 2 of this discussion that we were having on BET's Stand Your Ground law as it applies to the case of Micah Dretka killing Marquise McGlotten. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up where, I left off the last episode. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get into Lisa Clifton, which is the lawyer of Mr. Dretka. So, like I told you guys, in the last episode, I was ready to get into her ass because she just said some shit that just did not make any sense. She shouldn't have never let, that shit come out of her mouth because she looked like a complete ass. But, nonetheless, we're going to make her look even more like an ass. But, we're going to get into that, a little later, not too much later, but a little later. But let me give you some background info on who Miss Clifton is. Okay, so she's a member of the Florida Bar since 2012. And what she does is she handles DUI and traffic cases. And she is quoted as saying that she calls herself the lawyer with the most selfies. She's the one who represented Mr. Dretka initially in his case. She will not be the lawyer, from my understanding, and from what the video has stated, in his upcoming trial, which I think is set to take place in August of this year. So, that's the background information on Miss Lisa Clifton. And, like I said, we're going to get into, what she said in the documentary series dealing with the Stand Your Ground law that made her look like a complete ass. And, just a side note, with the information that I just gave you guys, she is not a criminal lawyer. She does, traffic cases. She's she deals with traffic court. She has, to my understanding, no experience in criminal cases such as, the one that we're talking about now. So that's what makes this shit so funny. It's like it's a slap in the face for black people because, it's like, okay, here's a man that has committed this heinous act for whatever reason he wants to try to use to justify why he did what he did. And instead of, them getting a lawyer that would represent, the case as far as the nature of the case, they get a motherfucking traffic attorney who has no experience in, criminal court cases whatsoever. Not unless this is something that they're hiding. But from what I saw in the documentary, she has no experience as being a criminal attorney. So, it's basically, to me, like saying, no matter who we put to represent, Caucasians that feel like they can just take the life of any black person that they want to, they're going to get off. So, to me, that shit is something that should infuriate all black people. Because it's like, no matter what happens to us, no matter what they do, it doesn't matter who they have to defend them, they're going to always get off. So, that's the thing that, that pissed me off about, the entire court system as it pertains to this particular case. But let's move on. Okay, so let's deal with Michael Dretka. Here's a dude that basically has a problem with black people. Now, he's already killed this young brother, and he's traumatized, his wife or his girlfriend, and if they had any children together and those kids were in the car, it traumatized them as well. But let's get some background information on this asshole. All right. According to the documentary, it states that he has had numerous run-ins with people. Now, the store owner of the business where Marquise McGlotten was killed stated that Dretka has assaulted people before at this particular business. Now, from what I was seeing in the documentary, and if there's anything contrary to what was shown and what was stated, The only problem that he has with people is that he has a problem with black people. And since he's had numerous run-ins before, those numerous run-ins that he had, no one stated that it was with people of, a different race. They interviewed one guy, a black dude. His name was Richard Kelly. And it states that Richard Kelly, an individual that had a run-in with Drecka at the same store where Marquise was killed, and for the same reason. And that reason is he was parked in a handicapped parking space. Him and this dude had some words. And, it didn't lead to what happened with Mr. McGlotton. But, this dude clearly had a problem with another black man or another black individual. So that leads me to think that, if it would have been someone else parked in that handicapped parking space, and, let's say that, they were other than black or other than a person of color, let's say that they were Caucasian, chances are he probably wouldn't have said a damn word. Now, another thing that I look at is this. The location of the store. Is this business in a predominantly black neighborhood? And if it is, is this dude meaning Mr. Drecka, is he a resident of that neighborhood? Or is this a store that is in a predominantly white neighborhood? Or maybe it's mixed, I don't know. And, the people that frequent this store the majority of the time are black. And if that's the case, then clearly this dude, in my opinion, has a problem with, the people in the area, because if it's predominantly black, or even if it's mixed, he feels like, they're overcrowding his space, or they're intruding on, his space, his place of residence, to the point where, I guess he feels like they're trying to take over. But, in most cases, man, people are just minding their business. They, people do stupid shit. But for the most part, people are minding their business. And even if they are doing something stupid, 9 times out of 10, most people don't check people on the, the stupid shit that they do. Most people just mind their business, keep it 100, keep it moving. But, here's this dude, he clearly has a problem with people of color. So he's already killed one brother, and he stepped to another individual. And according to what the documentary was stating about this individual, he has had numerous altercations with, other people. They didn't state that it was people of color, but, I'm guessing chances are it probably was. And, that probably depends on, the demographic as far as, the people that live in that area. If the area is predominantly black, then chances are he's going to run into more, black people than, Caucasian people. So, to me, clearly he has a problem with, with black people. That's just my opinion. So now let's get on to what, I was going to talk about as far as his lawyer, which is, Lisa Clifton. Now, she is quoted as saying, "I personally would rather defend myself and go out with a fight than fold like a bitch." So she's sympathizing with, Michael Drecka's actions. And this is the thinking of most Caucasians as it pertains to most people of color, as well as their own when it involves matters that are not worth your time or effort and may not benefit you or work in your favor. You have a lot of Caucasian people that think that way. That's why the majority of the people that you're seeing walking around with guns are them. And, instead of them talking, instead of them trying to come to a mutual decision or agreement on something that may offend them, or maybe you offended someone else, they're to the point now where this shit is like the Wild Wild West, where they want to pull out the gun, shoot first, and ask questions later. And for some of them, they feel like that's the route that they need to take. But here's the thing. What happens when that shit begins to switch on your ass when people of color start walking around with just as many guns that you have, and they begin to shoot first and ask questions later. So that's something that, you know, those of you who happen to be Caucasian that think that you can walk around with these, you know, weapons and just shoot people for some of the dumbest goddamn reasons that you could ever think of, that you feel like you need to take someone's life. What happens when that shit turns and it happens to you? You know, that's something that you need to think about. Now, the thing that made Miss Clifton look like an ass to me was when the question of race was brought up. And she stated that, you know, this had nothing to do with race. It was one man defending himself against, you know, another individual who happened to be, the way she looked at it, as, you know, the predator. And this guy, meaning Mr. Drecker, was the prey. And dealing with the whole race thing, she made a comment that her dad has an afro. What the fuck does that have to do with the case at hand, or with the situation that led to this young man being killed? Just because your dad has an afro, that does not make him black. There were plenty of white folks with afros. Matter of fact, I don't even know if the guy's still alive, but when I was a kid, some of you may remember, because I'm 50 years old, man. So remember the guy that used to come on TV early Saturday mornings? He was a white guy, used to paint all the time. Soft-spoken white guy. And, you know, he did these phenomenal paintings and whatnot. This motherfucker had an afro. Now, chances are, if you were to check his genealogy, he probably has some black relatives in his family. That does not make him black. That just means there was a gene that was passed down through the generations that allowed them to produce certain traits that black people have. That does not make you black. And to me, that's what makes her look like an ass, because she does not understand how genetics works. She needs to stick with what the fuck she's used to doing, which is traffic court. Stick to doing that shit. Don't try to bring anything into it that's dealing with genetics, because on that note, you make yourself look like a complete butthole. So let's move on. So now you have the lawyers. So like I've already told you guys, I would say the first lawyer, or the initial lawyer that was representing Mr. Drecker, would be the individual that I was just talking about, which is Lisa Clifton. The other two lawyers that she brought in were John Trevina and Bryant Camarino. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And what these guys wanted to do, they wanted to take the racial element out of the case. Their argument is based on the stand your ground elements. That's how they want to argue the case. And, you know, that's understandable. As far as them wanting to take that element out, because they know that if they cannot remove that element, if they cannot flip this case to the point where it doesn't look like it was racially motivated, then they know dude is going to lose. And to me, I think that it was racially motivated. I think when you look at the history of this dude, we're going to find that he had more run-ins with people of color, meaning black people, than he did with any other race of people. If you look at the video and look at the manner in which he chose to, you know, do the things that he did, I think he was more or less driven by race. You know, whether they can take that element out, or whether the lawyers on Mr. McGlotton's team can, you know, bring that out, you know, remains to be seen. But, you know, this is a smart move by, you know, Mr. Drecker's team to try to take that element out, because I think if they can sway the jury to look at this thing as strictly a stand your ground case, then chances are, you know, this dude is going to walk. He's going to get away scot-free. And, you know, it's going to be another tragic, you know, incident where we have another black life that is lost, whether it's, you know, a black man or a black woman or a black child, and no fucking justice has been received for the family that was, you know, basically, you know, kicked to the side and basically told that, you know, your rights, the way that you feel, you know, the person that you're going to miss doesn't mean shit to us. And it's been like that for, you know, the longest of time. Hell, it's been like that since, you know, we've been in contact with these damn people, especially in this country. So let's move on. All right, now, T.I. is also in this documentary. You know, I have not been a T.I. fan as far as his music is concerned, but, you know, I have grown to respect this brother, you know, a lot in the past couple of years because, you know, I'm seeing this change in T.I. as far as his mentality. And, you know, he's becoming a very outspoken individual as far as, you know, the plight of black people in this country. And, you know, I applaud him for that. So he is quoted in this video as saying that the shooting of a black person by a white person is found justified 34% of the time. Now, when we flip that, it states that the shooting of a white person by a black person is found justifiable only 3% of the time. That's like a 31% difference. So going back to what the lawyers want to do on Mr. Drecker's end as far as how they want to, you know, take the racial element out. When you start to look at those statistics, and if they were to bring those statistics up, it's going to work in Mr. McLaughlin's favor. You can understand now why these individuals want to take the racial element out. And in this country, from what I've seen, and, you know, you guys hit me up, you know, message me on my page, let me know if I'm correct or if I'm wrong. When it comes to people of color in this country, especially black people, when has it not been about race? You can go from the educational system, the political system, the entertainment, academic, and the list goes on and on and on and on. When has race not been an element or the foundation for the ills that have gone on in this country between, you know, the people who occupy what is called North America? So with that being said, you know, we can understand why, you know, these guys will want to take the racial element out of this particular case, because like I said, if they can sway the jury in that direction to just strictly look at this as a stand your ground case and just deal with those elements, then this dude is going to walk. And to be honest with you, and I'm hoping that they fry his ass. I got a feeling that he's going to get off. I'm hoping that he doesn't, but, you know, I have this strange feeling, man, that they're going to find some kind of way to make this motherfucker look like he was the victim. And this is going to be another black man that's going to, you know, be swept under the fucking rug, man, like he wasn't shit. And, you know, I've been to the point, I'm sick of this shit, man. You know, I do my fighting in my community. I try to work with individuals. There are things that I want to say on camera that I can't say on camera as far as the shit that we need to do. But you guys get the picture, man. You know, I've had it up to here with this shit. So let's move on. All right, now, the stand your ground law. The main proponent who got this shit put into law is a woman by the name of Marion Hamer. She is the first female president of the National Rifle Association from 1995 to 1998. She was also an influential lobbyist from the 1970s through today. She is credited with influencing many of Florida's gun laws, including the 2005 Stand Your Ground law. Now, I think there's a video, I don't know if it's on YouTube or not, but they also show this video in the documentary where she is present with Jeb Bush as he signs this law into effect in the state of Florida. And she's the one that has, you know, pushed to have this thing, you know, resurrected. And there are other things that she's done as well, as far as, you know, dealing with, you know, the right to carry firearms, as well as other things that I think are not dealing with that. But this right here is the shit that she's most famous for. Now, Jeb Bush is quoted in the same documentary as saying this. His claim is that it will lower crime rates and protect people's rights, but statistics contradict his statements. Now, when we start talking about people's rights, who are we talking about? Because clearly, as far as rights are concerned, our rights have never been honored. Forget all this shit about the goddamn Constitution, all of that. That shit is a fucking farce. It's false. It's always been false. It's like a fucking pipe dream. And black folks think that the Constitution deals with us. It doesn't. It never has. We're still fighting for shit that we supposed to have solved, or better yet, that we were fighting for in the goddamn 60s during the civil rights movement. You still got shit that's going on with black folks who are trying to vote, dealing with voter registration, which is one of the topics that they cover in this docuseries. So how is that shit, you know, helping us? We have no goddamn rights as far as they are concerned. So, you know, as far as, you know, his statements and whatnot, man, there's plenty of documents that you can pull up, things that you can go to, people you can talk to that would clearly show you that, you know, as far as rights are concerned, the only damn rights that are being protected are the rights of Caucasians, not people of color, especially black people. So, yo, my time is about up. So, you know, like I said, man, I'm gonna probably have to do a couple more episodes to get, you know, the rest of this stuff out. But that's my take on, you know, the Stand Your Ground law. This is episode 2. And, you know, I'm getting ready to sign out. But before I do, make sure you guys subscribe, hit that bell notification button. And until the next time, you know, we get a chance to get it popping on this particular subject. Peace and blessings. Hotep. And I'm out.